Good afternoon, everybody. Skip Jeffries back in the garage again with another pickling expedition here. Just got out of the garden and got a bunch of our pickles or cucumbers collected or harvested, so did pretty good. I think we had a total of 22 of these bad boys, and I also got a poblano pepper I'm going to be tossing in some of these pickle jars. But our goal here is we're going to try to make some homemade Clausen pickles. It's a copycat recipe. I believe I downloaded this one from amandascooking.com. Pretty much starts off with between 20 and 25 small to medium pickling cucumbers, 2 quarts of cold water, half a cup of white vinegar, third a cup of canning pickling salt or coarse kosher salt, a teaspoon of coriander seed, half teaspoon of mustard seed, quarter teaspoon of red pepper flakes, 1 tablespoon of black peppercorns, 1 tablespoon of dill seed, quarter teaspoon of dried garlic. We need a fine mesh colander, and then a 4-cup measuring cup. And then they also added in there, if you want, pickle crispers, optional. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and start with I'm gonna add my own little twist. I've got this garlic I gotta use up, so we're gonna put that into these pickles here. Alright, for your cucumbers, you want to make sure you cut off both ends. This is what they call the bloom end. I don't know if I've got one that's got a bloom on it. Yeah, here we go. That's what you're looking to cut off, those things. Like I said, all these cucumbers come from our garden here, so. We've got a pretty good run here. We'll grab some of our jars here and kind of see if we can start packing and filling. And they didn't give you too much instruction on how you want to fill these things, but I think we're going to kind of start with maybe a couple cloves of garlic in each one here, or each jar. And we'll start with 3 and we'll probably work our way up. I'm hoping I have enough jars. And I've got a couple onions I want to throw into these things too. And I've got fresh cut dill from the garden. So that was a whole goal this year of planting dill, was strictly for pickling or pickles. So hopefully we'll have what we want. Now they say to pack them in your jars pretty tightly, so we'll see what we can fit in here. Use the oddball ones for the chip. And I mean, you could probably use a mandolin slicer for it. We're just gonna go ahead and kind of knife them. That Big Daddy one. Must have missed that one last week when I was making pickles. And I don't know, I try to keep my slices probably under a 1/4 inch. You can, sometimes that knife goes a little astray, especially on these bigger ones. Alright, let's grab some more jars and repeat the same process over again here. And this was almost, I think, a full case of jars here. Let's go ahead and we'll do 4. Start with a clove of garlic in each jar. Followed by some dill. And our pickling concoction or mixture or brine will actually have some more dill in it. So hopefully it's dilly enough for everybody's tasting. And we'll just kind of load these into the jars here. Make sure they separate the slices. And try to pack them as tight as you can, I guess, is the goal here. Yeah, didn't do too bad of a job getting these slices pretty even. And the brine for this one here is a cold brine, and these are refrigerator pickles. Pretty much got 4 jars of each, and I think we'll probably go to the brining process here. I may dice up this pepper. I think that would be a nice add-on. Just a little bit of heat to the pickles. This is a poblano. Typically they're not as hot, but I don't know what it is in our garden. Every year we've grown them. They're sometimes hotter than our jalapenos. And that's just one of those crazy side effects or effects that we've noticed throughout the years. Did that last jar off screen. Go ahead and press on here. We're making the brine. So they're calling out for 2 quarts of cold water, which equates out to 8 cups. And the whole reason I'm using bottled water, used either filtered water or bottled water. Go ahead, and they recommended using a pitcher. So hopefully this pitcher is a 1 gallon. So hopefully it'll be big enough for what we need to get done here. We're looking at a 1/2 cup of white vinegar. And this one is just distilled white vinegar it's the GB Value brand, so trying to keep things on a budget. That's about a 1/2. Add that to our pitcher. It says a 1/3 cup of salt. Seems kind of excessive, but we'll go follow the process here. They say trust the process. And I watched a couple videos too that they said a lot of times that you think it's not too much or way too much, and it is just enough. There's your 1/3 cup of salt, and we'll go ahead and kind of stir that in. So I guess it's going to be a pretty salty brine. Next on the list is a teaspoon of coriander seed, and all I've got is ground coriander, so hopefully that'll work. They're saying 1 teaspoon. There's 1 teaspoon. Throw that into the mix. Looks like a half a teaspoon of mustard seed. You can probably just go with a 1 and just halfway fill it up. Maybe. Roughly about half. Quarter teaspoon of red pepper flakes. Normally I just kind of sprinkle it in, but this one here I said was an A, so 2 of these bad boys. That says 1 tablespoon of black peppercorns. Next on the list is 1 tablespoon of dill seed. And we're using some of the stuff that we got from our garden here that we dehydrated. And then a quarter teaspoon of dried garlic. Yeah, a little bit. I've got some garlic powder here, so hopefully this is what they're referring to. And we just kind of stir this up. We're going to be pouring it into our measuring cup there, and we're going to sift it through, I guess they call it a colander. But I've got some pickling spice I'm going to add. Probably a tablespoon of that to it, maybe. And I'm hoping that's enough brine to fill all those jars. If not, we'll just make up another batch here and go from there. So this is the closest thing I can think of that equates to a colander. And I guess what you're going to be doing is you're filtering it through this. You only have the brine juice, but this stuff up on top, you're supposed to evenly distribute it throughout the pickle process. I guess we'll go with the slices maybe. Try not to make too big of a mess. You want to make sure your pickles are all encased or covered. Probably be a better term. I guess since these are refrigerator pickles, you want to make sure that all your pickle goodness is covered. We're not pressure cooking any of this, so. So these things here, once we get them filled, I guess we can just secure lids on jar and refrigerate. And I think they recommend a couple days sitting in the brine before you eat them. Alrighty, so yeah, we definitely had enough brine for all these. Yeah, we got one more step here. We gotta add this goodness to each one of these pickle jars here. And they say to evenly distribute it throughout all your jars here. Now we can recap. And there you go, folks. Spears and slices. Homemade refrigerator pickles.